super tough dude. So I was honestly expecting to get in there and go through a 5-round war, but that's how I envisioned it in my mind, and that's the way that I was hoping it was going to go. So to get in there and just let my hands go felt great, and got the finish. That was good.
Wait, you envisioned a 5-round war, or you envisioned being able to finish him?
I envisioned myself knocking him out, but was expecting to go out there and go through a war. But I envisioned myself knocking every opponent out. So it happens sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. But we got it.
Sure. So what next for you? Obviously, you alluded in the cage with John that there's a couple key fights you have to watch for now. Do you take another fight, or do you sit back and you wait for both of those to finish up and see what happens?
I'm going to have to talk to UFC and see, but, I don't want to sit out for another year. I got one fight last year. I don't want to have another year of just one fight. I'm turning 30 this year. I'm probably, I'm going to be doing this for another 6-7 years. So, I'm trying to make as much money as I can, getting in there and putting a pounding on my body. So, I have to talk to him. I'm going to be watching the Frankie Faber fight and the Aldo McGregor fight very closely, and just hoping that, I can get back in there and fight for that title soon. And if that's not the case, if it's not too far off from being up there in maybe the top 3, top 4, I'll probably take a fight. But like I said, I just got to talk to the UFC.
And before you caught him, he seemed to be putting together kind of a nice little game plan there against you. How are you physically? Was he able to get to you at all with any of those kicks?
Yeah, one of the kicks, actually, I was planted, and he threw it, and I felt my knee buckle a little bit. So I got some ice on it right now. It's a little sore, kind of limping. Just going to see what's going on once I cool down and let my adrenaline get out of the way. And I think it's just bruised, but we'll see. But, the game plan was to go out there and kind of just fill him out in the beginning. I've watched some of his recent past fights, and, coming out, he throws a lot of weird stuff, spinning kicks and head kicks and inside-outside kicks. And, I just kind of wanted to feel the speed on those, feel the power, and then kind of go from there. And that's basically what I did. I felt him. He landed a few of those. Some of them I was able to get out of the way. And, I just felt confident that with what he had, I was going to be able to stop it, and it wasn't going to do too much damage. So I walked him down and finished the fight.
Gotcha. And then, Al, if I could go to you. Obviously, a very interesting fight. Much more interesting post-fight, apparently. Can you talk us through that a little bit? Obviously, you weren't expecting the booze. And then I think a lot of people weren't expecting necessarily the F-bomb that came after that.
I train hard every day, and when I go in there, win or lose, I want to win, and I want the crowd to cheer. And I feel like I showed a lot of heart. I pushed through, a tough first round, and then that fight would have been Friday the night, but I think he took the second round off, and third round, same thing. I was chasing him. I was overextending, throwing my punches because he was out of there. He didn't, he coasted those last 2 rounds, and when maybe they would booing the judges, whatever that, but I don't think there's any reason to be booing me. I laid it all out there. I took my beating in the first round, and I came back, and I think I showed a lot of what I'm made of.
Sure.
So it's definitely it hurts to hear the people booing you. I mean, I hope they weren't booing me for that. I don't know what they could be booing. Just the decision, maybe they didn't agree with it, but that's it bothered me.
Obviously, you're in the moment.
And I looked in the crowd and I saw 2 kids. I look up and I see 2 kids giving me the finger, and it just kind of. It was what it was. It set me off, I saw those 2 little guys, and I was like, if you were standing here right now, what I would do to you. And I got so heated. But, everybody up here, we train so hard, and for the crowd to just, just throw it away, boo. It's like, come on, man. But I'm going to have to get used to that. I guess it's, it's a tough sport, and that's the way it is.
If I could go quick to Dustin, obviously a huge win, in your move back up. There's a lot of stories that have gone around about the kinds of things that you had to do and the kinds of meals or lack thereof that you ate to make 145. Now that you're back at 155, can you expand on that a little bit for us? And I mean, we're hearing things like like a piece of lettuce a day.
Half a piece of lettuce. No, man, it was tough. I would have to start at least 2 months out. Everything had to be weighed out and ate at a certain time. If I ate a couple almonds that I wasn't supposed to, I would be heavier the next day. It was really down, as low as I can get my body to at 145. It was tough. It made fight week not enjoyable. I had a blast this week. I was comfortable. It was a lot less stress. And tell you the truth, my whole fight camps were more like, what can I do to burn some extra calories, or after this workout, or before this workout. It was more about the weight cut than the fight. This camp was all about the fight. I could focus on my performance the whole time. Weight wasn't an issue. And, 155 is closer to my natural weight, so my body just wanted to grow, and I've been holding it back for years, but, I feel good.
So in camp, you just stayed what you were like when you were at featherweight, except for you just didn't have to cut as much than this week? You didn't get heavier?
A little heavier, but nothing crazy. I ate normal. I always eat healthy. Maybe lifted a little bit more weights with my strength and conditioning coach. And, my body's still, I think, going to adapt a little bit more to this weight class these next few months as I can keep on working out and eating. So.
Gotcha. And then, Juliana, real quick, congrats on your win. Welcome back. You said in the cage that you feel like had you been here this whole time, you'd be champion right now. Can you expand on that a little bit? And it's got to have you pretty amped up to kind of be back on the radar now.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm happy to be here, and I'm pumped to get back in the cage. It's been a really long and grueling road this last year and a half trying to get my knee back to where it was, and now that I'm here, I just, I got to stay positive, and I got to believe in myself, and I most certainly do.
Does that extra $50,000 make up for the 13 months or so that you were off?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to start crying because that's like the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, how tough was it then that, not being able to make the money, but also not being able to be in there and fight and do what you want to do?
It's surreal. It feels like a blur. It really does.
Good, and congrats on coming back.
Thank you.
Dan Flynn, Breitbart Sports. Question for Chad. If there's a logjam at the top of the division because of the Conor Aldo thing, would you consider taking a fight outside of the division, as Uriah has, and they're one of these super fights that even I think Clay talked about after his bout of jumping divisions? Either is it possible to go lower? Would you be comfortable going up, catch weight? And is there any people outside the division you like to fight?
I always talk about possibly going down to 35s until I'm about 2 days out from making 45s, and I say screw that. But that's something I think I could probably do, but I'd have to just change up my camp a lot as far as what I'm doing diet-wise and training. It's not something I really want to do, but I think I possibly could. But if there's a super fight, and if the money's right, I would definitely think about doing it. But like I said, I got to sit down and talk with UFC. My manager's got to all sit down with us and figure everything out. So I'm kind of just in a weird spot right now. We just got to kind of come up with a good game plan, I guess.
Are there fights at 45 for you?
I'm going to have to sit down and really look who else. I've been trying to figure out who I would fight after this. If I were to go out there and beat Ricardo, the only thing that makes sense in my mind is back for that title. And, we just got to wait to see what happens with Aldo McGregor and Frankie and Faber. So we'll see.
Question for Clay. So even after your fight's over, there's fans chanting your name at one of the subsequent fights. There's a lot, particularly for casual fans. A lot of them are down on wrestling, and fans are really up on you. Can you tell me? Have you ever given any thought to why it is that you being a wrestler, that you're such a fan favorite, and what it is that you do as a wrestler that maybe some of the other wrestlers do not do, that gives you that kind of support from the fans?
No, that's a good question, and now I got a message for those fans. Without wrestling, mixed martial arts would not be a sport. NCAA runner-up, finalist. Without wrestling, it wouldn't be here. Without jiu-jitsu, there would be no mixed martial arts. So, it's not the most exciting all the time. My fights are very sloppy. You know what I mean? Not very technical by any means, but we're always on the gas pedal, man. We're always on the throttle. We don't let up, and that's the thing. I think all these college wrestlers, they see not all of them are Olympic level. So then after they graduate, they want to try something else. They try MMA. Studs like these guys come out and they want to try something else, and they know they can make a living at it. Not everyone's going to be an Olympic champ, have a gold and $1 million, contract after. So I guess being, an exciting wrestler helps, but it all starts with the oldest sport that we almost lost a couple years ago. You know what I mean? So shame on those fans. I hope they get more educated and realize that the foundation, if you look at, what do we have, 7, 8 weight classes? probably 5 or 6 of them are wrestlers that are holding belts right now. So I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Question for Clay. Clay, I don't know, it's already making the rounds on the internet. I don't know if you saw. Your post-fight speech was a bit unclear. Can you clarify what you were trying to say after you won?
Yeah, I hope, like I said, first I wanted to wish everyone a happy Easter, on a very sacred holiday, because without the big man above us, none of this would be possible. And then I said, with all due respect, Mr. Obama, if you're not too busy golfing or playing with your bracketology and your NCAA Final Four things and not handling, or if you're handling our nation's important issues, hopefully you are, maybe come on over to Fairfax, Virginia, which is, I think, your backyard or side yard, and watch the fastest growing sport in the world. And if you couldn't be live at this one, I know a lot of fans would have liked to see him and his wife here, but maybe you'll make another one down the road. So I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but it is the fastest growing sport in the world, and it'd be nice to see, some of those bigger names, important people in our country get behind it and support it a little bit more. So no disrespect towards their direction, but it's such an important sport. It's growing so quickly, and we're on Fox for a reason. I hope we're not getting the NCAA, the March Madness. What about MMA Madness? Don't forget about the, these guys that are out doing world tours right now, McGregor and all these guys that are out, trying to build our sport, and Aldo and all these guys that are all over. So, yeah, I just wanted to let them know that we're here in Fairfax. We're just down the road.
Fair enough. Juliana, if I may. So you had a great win here, and you have time left in the year. Now, obviously you want to win. I don't mean that. But if you could map out your 2015, what would it look like? Like, are there certain kinds of people you want to face? Is there a certain timeline you have for different levels of achievement? What would a good 2015 look like for you?
I got to get and fight and beat somebody in the top 5 in order to get to a title shot, so that's my goal.
How far away do you think you are from that realistically?
I don't know. It depends on when my next fight is and what happens in the outcome there. I never look past any opponent, and I'm just waiting to hear back when I'll fight again, and then I'll put the hard work in again and get back on the road.
Let me just posit a scenario. It could be completely unrealistic, but let's just say for some reason Betch Kahea couldn't fight. They asked you to go up against Rousey. Is that something you would be on that kind of short timeline? Is that the kind of do you believe you're prepared for that moment should it come at that kind of accelerated timeline?
Yeah, I believe that if somebody knocked on my door and wanted to get in a fist fight tomorrow morning, that either I know how to fight or I don't. And so I know how to fight, and yeah, I would if that was the scenario.
Hey, Clay. Over here. Over here to your left. Hey, Clay. What's happening, man?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
After the fight, you called out Dos Anjos. How did it feel? You've beaten a lot of guys that have won titles or been in title fights. How did it feel a few weeks ago watching Pettis and Dos Anjos go at it, knowing you had wins over both of them? And secondly, do you feel like either have you already gotten word from the UFC, or do you feel like you've gotten any traction, possibly getting some top fights back at lightweight?
You know what? It's kind of mixed feelings, mixed emotions, bittersweet. We beat those guys. Maybe they weren't at the top at the time. I wasn't at the top at the time. We're always gaining ground. He was smart enough to actually, use my recipe for success against Pettis. It wasn't a brilliant one, but it happened to work. I did it for 15 minutes. He did it for 25. So kudos to him. That was awesome. He looked great. He's a hard worker. And like I said, if he needs a little readjustment in that piece of titanium in his jaw, man, or a remodeling. I'm a carpenter, so anytime he's ready. Pettis, like I said, there's a long list. I had a lot of fun up at 55. I'll go back and forth. Super fights, like Chad said, if the money's right, if the opponent's right, and the fans want to see good fights, man, put me in there. Let's get something on paper, but it's still too soon. Shelby was already sweating me earlier. So what are you gonna do? You going to 55 or what? You going to 45? What are you doing? So it's interesting. You know what I mean? We'll go anywhere, man. I'm undersized at 55. I'm skinny at 45. I'm happier at 55, but we have fun down there too. So I'm pretty much up for whatever, man. I just want to go fishing.
Question for Al. Congratulations on the win, Al. One thing I was struck by after the fight was you were so frustrated, and Matt Serra came by, and he seemed sort of bemused by the whole thing. Matt's a guy that's been through a lot of, he's had hostile reactions to him and sort of takes it in stride. I'm wondering if you had any conversation with him afterwards about dealing with crowd reactions and sort of how to react to that.
Yeah, no, both Ray and Matt both, they said you can't listen to the crowd, and you got, they told me that I won the fight, and just kind of calmed me down. And it took them a little while to get through to me because I was just so frustrated, But they said you should be happy, and I am. I worked really hard for this fight, and I got what I earned. Earned what I got. Earned what I got. Got what I earned. Whatever.
And question for Dustin. Dustin, I'm not sure if you're the sort of, some fighters are thinking about other matchups in the division, others aren't. At 145, there was sort of a set number of guys you could think about. 155 is just a C. I was wondering if you sort of thought about that sort of thing, about potential matchups in there. Are there sort of guys you're targeting, or is that not something you think about?
I haven't really been thinking about opponents, but like you said, it's wide open. My plan is to crack the top 10 this year, so, any matchup they want. But I know for sure after the fight, Joe Silva told me he has a spot for me June 6th in New Orleans. I mean, I am Louisiana, so we can't go there without me being on the card. So whoever wants it, then they can get it. Whoever.
I actually have another question for Al. Do you think the fact that you were bleeding so much in the first round made the audience automatically think that you were going to lose the match? And how do you educate the audience to the ways of UFC scoring?
Yeah, it could have been, the blood definitely didn't help. Every time I hit him, he made a little face like it didn't bother him. And, maybe they were looking at that. But every time I hit him, he felt it. I know that for sure. So, I think the judges got it right. I think the second and third round I took, and he just didn't want it that much.
And then this is more of a general question to everyone. How has social media impacted how you guys handle your business? Are you guys on the Twitters and the Facebooks, and how do you guys handle pressure to either be on it or not be on it?
You guys can handle that one.
Yeah, I mean, social media is something that's really helped us grow as athletes, kind of really build our brand. I mean, it's free brand building, and I know a lot of us have jumped on board. When I first got in the UFC, that was something Dana preached to us all the time. That's it's free advertisement for your brand. So, Uriah Faber actually is a huge social media guy. When a new type of social media would come out, he'd tell us all, all right, this is what you got to download. This is what everyone's starting to use now. And so we all kind of listened and figured it all out. But sometimes it can be a huge pain in the butt when you get a bunch of fans that want to just talk trash all the time, and it kind of makes it makes it bittersweet. You want to reach out to the fans that are positive and that care and that really back us up as athletes, and then there's people that all they want to do is try to break people down. They you look on their page and it's just them talking trash to all kinds of different people, and there's not one positive thing on there, and so it's kind of bittersweet. Like as us, at least for me as an athlete, I want to give back to my fans. I want to talk to them, want to, reach out to them as much as I can. But, you just get so many people that want to be negative all the time that I find myself getting bitter. And, that's not the person I want to be.
And can each of you give us your Twitter address?
At Chad Mendes with an S.
For Juliana. So the bonuses were tweeted, I guess, as you guys were backstage getting ready to come out to the conference, and I suppose you hadn't heard it, so you seemed to be overcome with emotion when you heard it. Can you just quickly talk about what that moment felt like?
It's extremely emotional for me. When I was on The Ultimate Fighter, I finished everybody on that show, and at the end of the season, the fans got to vote on who they think could get the bonuses. I didn't get submission of the season. I didn't get fight of the season. I didn't get any wins or any bonuses on that. When I fought in the finale, Gray Maynard and Nate Diaz stole my knockout money of the night, so I didn't get that. I feel like I'm never getting bonused on anything, and that's probably my fault for being out for a year. But it's just a blessing, so much of over emotions that are flowing through me right now because I really needed it. And I just want to thank Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta, Sean Shelby, and Joe Silva, and Frank Fertitta III for getting me that bonus because what a blessing, and what a blessing to be working for this company and to be representing the UFC. I'm honored.
And Michael, a lot of fans might casually see you as a submission guy, but we see a lot of things from you as far as your speed, your power, and your reach, the use of your reach doing your striking. Can you talk a little about that evolution, and you think you've changed people's minds now?
Yeah, it's more or less been a confidence issue than it has been a technical thing. I've been doing the same stuff for 7 years. I've just never had the confidence to go out and use my hands. When you spar on a regular basis with a guy like Sam Cecilia and you're getting punched all over the place, you don't really feel like a good striker. But as time's gone on, I just built the confidence in myself, and I wanted to put on a better performance tonight. But I was chasing the submission a little bit, so the guys up here know what I'm talking about when you get pumped out. I pumped out my legs, my arms a little bit, chasing the sub. But, I got to win. I can't complain. And I'm just going to constantly keep getting better and make my way to the top 15.
And Chad, towards the end of the fight, you could see that Ricardo's balance was off. He was already rocked. But the referees usually tend to give a longer leash to fighters doing main events, And so... it was going to take a little bit more of that. And is there a tendency to kind of rush it and try to finish it right away? Because you seem very paced and very patient, trying to pick the right shots and not make any mistakes.
Yeah, I was trying to be patient, but, I felt like there was a few times, where Ricardo looked pretty, he was pretty much done. And, I figured the ref was going to stop it, and he didn't. And I stopped punching, honestly. And, that's probably a mistake on my part, but, I felt the fight was over, and, Ricardo would start to come back, and then, I'd have to go back at it again. But, right there at the end, I basically just told the ref, like, he's done. He wasn't doing anything. He's laying there, and he was just going to let me keep hitting him. So I stopped, and, the ref finally stepped in. But, it's tough, man. It's tough to be a ref, but, as a fighter, you kind of know when things are finished, and I felt it.
And Dustin, do you feel the door to 145 is closed for you as far as a couple of rematches that people would like to see? That are those not going to happen now?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going back right now. As of right now, I'm a lightweight.
And last one for Clay. Is there any significance to some of the burping we see you doing? As far as are you trying to be entertaining or?
No, I had too many bananas in the locker room. It's part of my monkey characteristics, man. I don't know what it is, but I can't help it sometimes. I try not to be rude. I try to look away from my cornerman. I try to look away from the commission in front of me, but sometimes you just got to let it loose,
You're doing it all week in the locker room at the hotel. Hitting mitts, burping everywhere.
Question for Al. You mentioned being affected basically by the crowd, and I think a lot of people watching the fights think that you guys are in the zone and that you're not hearing all the yelling up from the people were yelling about Matt Serra, they're yelling about all sorts of things during your fight. But you're saying you do hear that, you do see some things.
It was after the fight. Well, after the judges read the decision, that's when I really heard everything. Yeah.
Well, there's a moment during the fight, during the third round, where you sort of draw. I'm question about the sort of the positive energy of the fans. There's a moment during the third round where you sort of drop your hands as if to say through body language, are you going to fight or are you going to stand there?
Yeah.
And the crowd sort of rallies to your side. Did that affect you in any way? I mean, what was going through your head at that point that you had to do something to win? Was the crowd rallying to you? Was that helping you? What was going on at that point?
Yeah, I was getting frustrated because I wanted to fight. I wanted to put on a show and entertain people. That's what I come here to do. And I felt the way he was fighting, it wasn't going to be, it was just throw a punch, take 3 steps back, throw a punch, take 3 steps back, and I said, is this what we're here to do? Is that what you trained to do, or did we train to fight? And that's what I came to do. So that's what that was all about.
Any more questions? Okay, well, that should wrap it up. Just as a reminder, on Saturday, April 11th, we have UFC Fight Night Gonzaga versus Krokop 2 in Krakow, Poland. And on Saturday, April 18th, we have UFC Fight Night Machida versus Rockhold at the Prudential Center in Newark. Hope to see you all there, and thanks for coming out.